Hello YouTube, my name is Agent Omega and I do things. Today we're going to be taking a look at this unique redstone contraption that I thought of. Before we begin, there's a little bit of backstory that you need to know. So Mumbo Jumbo in Hermitcraft Seasons 4 and 5, and I think possibly also 3, he built a device called a spoon counter. And what that was is every time Mumbo had a spoon moment, or he messed up, he would run over to his spoon counter and he would push a button and the spoon counter would go up by 1 level. Now, this device here is a spoon meter. And you might be asking yourself, what is a spoon meter? Well, in this case, we're measuring a different type of spoon. So down in the description, I've linked the Wikipedia article for spoon theory, but TLDR, a spoon is an arbitrary unit of mental energy. And basically what that means is, let's say I'm having a bad day at work, or because, I'm really introverted, I've just been dealing with a lot of people, we're gonna flick this lever, and soon spoons will start draining out of the system. You can also think of this as a health bar or an energy meter, something like that. But let's say I start doing something relaxing, like I start playing video games, or I start watching anime, or, I'm just left to my own devices, I'm allowed to chill or just interact with the people I feel like it. So then we're going to flip this lever over here, and slowly but surely spoons are going to start trickling back into the system. And there you have it. Now, one other thing to note is that we've also captured the property behind spoon theory that spoons often take longer to recover than they do to deplete. That's just happenstance based upon, how redstone works, but we're going to take it. So then when we're up at the top, we can flick that lever and we turn off the noise. Now you've noticed that I've got horizontal and vertical versions of this system. We're going to go over the pros and cons of each later, but for now, let's start with the vertical design. Now, the main feature of both is that they both use hoppers to contain their primary inventory. You can see that we've got it filled with swords. This one up at the top, due to how the system works, there's like always a missing one. You can fill that in if you're feeling really OCD. But I'm using unstackable items because it's just easier to manage. You could theoretically, on the other one, you could theoretically use stackable objects to make spoons drain out slower and also refill much slower. But in this case, due to the inventory constraints we have down here, we're not really able to do that. So unstackable objects, really the best. Also, just sort of the zippiest response, I guess. So that's what we have there. The blue wool is how we're going to power all of the lights on the front, and that's consistent between both systems. So each wool color represents the same thing in the other device, with exception of gray, I think. But blue, we need to indirectly power each of these redstone lamps, because if we directly powered one of them, we'd power its adjacent neighbors, and we don't want that behavior. So the way we manage to pull that directly from a vertical hopper line is we've got one comparator directly next to the hoppers, and that feeds into a wool block, powering this line of redstone on top of our slabs. And the reason I used slabs is because of bud powering down at the bottom. And then, or rather, just to avoid any power conflicts at the bottom, I should say. So then that line feeds into this wool, which indirectly powers that. The other thing we're doing is we're exploiting the fact that you can indirectly get comparator signal through solid blocks as long as an inventory is on the other side. So that's how we're powering this one. I think it was a nice sort of elegant setup. I haven't done too much research before this one, so this system has probably been beaten to death, but I just like how I independently derived it. That was kind of neat for me. This red line down here, this is how the spoons drain out. So we've got this locked when the switch is up. That is kind of weird for Americans, I guess. I don't know why I went with this. But it just seemed to me like when the switch is up, the lock should be on. Actually, no. Yeah, that is kind of straightforward. Never mind. So you can see that we've got this negation here, and we've got this wool powered, which locks this bottommost hopper. Now the reason we don't have this hopper locked is because when we're refilling the spoons, if this hopper is locked, then it will remain empty and this bottom lamp will remain unlit. So let's go over the other case. This is the green wool. It means that we're replenishing spoons. So again, we're just taking signal strength from this cauldron. We really could just put the cauldron here if we felt like it, or maybe just a block of redstone or something. Actually, not the block of redstone, bud powering would ensue. But we could use the cauldron here instead of here. I just really like indirectly taking signal from stuff. So when that's powered, it unlocks this hopper below this chest. And on the other side, when spoons are being drained, they go into this chest. And they're only stuck in that chest because we've got the hopper locked on this side. It's just a way to make sure that the spoons don't immediately recycle through the system, because I was having a bit of a pain with that earlier. So when we unlock this, spoons start flowing into the bottommost dropper, and then we've just got a standard dropper vader back here. Every other one is powered, and you'll also notice that we've got this negation going on here, and we're powering these two blocks at the same time. That was also just to ensure that all of the items cycled through, because sometimes my setups, there would be one item in this topmost one, and I spoke too soon. Well, that is why there is one missing from over here. But that's also no big deal. Like I said, you can just insert one more into the system, and you'll be perfectly fine. That is it for that system, I believe. We've already seen it in action. Now let's move on to the horizontal one. I actually think this one is a little bit more elegant, personally, but there are also its cons as well. So first, we'll flip this lever, because there is actually different behavior between the two when we're refilling, so I just want to demonstrate that as well. Now, the reason for the difference comes from the fact that when vertical hoppers pull items, they're actually actively grabbing items from the one above it. So an item will flow into that topmost hopper, then the one below it will immediately pull it out. So there is no real delay, and that's why you didn't see anything over there. But with hoppers that are going sideways feeding into each other, an item will flow into the hopper, and then a tick will pass, and then that hopper actively searches to see if there's an inventory on the direction it's pointing, and if so, then it will release the item into that inventory. So when I first built this machine, items would start flowing through one at a time, and then this whole bar would be lit up, and that wasn't really a good visual indicator for where we were at. Unlike that one, where nothing showed up, just this whole thing was filled in. So now that that's locked over there, I'm going to flip this side, and you're going to see that items start trickling in. You get the idea. So we'll just let that go. Now back here, I think everything's just a little bit more simple. So you can see that each comparator directly feeds into a wool block next to the display, and in that way, we're still doing the indirect powering thing, but it's just a lot less complicated than this sort of checkerboard staircasey thing. The red line is also pretty simple. And again, I don't think we really needed this setup to be the way it was. It's just what came to mind. So this red block unlocks this hopper, which allows items to flow that way. And the other thing is, when this hopper is locked, all it means is it won't actively feed items out. It can still get items in because these hoppers are the ones doing the active putting, if that makes any sense. So when we unlock this, items will start flowing into this back hopper line, and I think that is just really elegant because we will always have enough inventory for all of the items. Now I'm going to turn this off because we've clearly already got all the items. But now we're going to review this side. So when this side is active, we've got this clock. Rather than just locking this hopper, or rather unlocking this hopper, that would allow items to flow through one at a time, I've got it set up on a 4-tick comparator clock. At least I think that's what that means, because I've got, the repeater set to 4 ticks. So it might actually be an 8-tick clock. But the point is, every time this thing turns on and off, this observer will pulse. This is 2 ticks, just so that the redstone torch can actually accept that as an output. So every time it toggles on or off, this will unlock briefly, allowing one item to flow through. And so that's why we saw that sort of ripple effect. Now we're going to go over the pros and cons of each system. Pros of the one on the left. It consumes a lot less iron, a lot less hoppers at that. So that means you've got, where the number of lights you want is n, we've got n plus 1, 2, 3, 4 hoppers. So we've got n plus 4 hoppers over here. Unfortunately, we also have we've got n plus 2 droppers, I think, plus the ones that we use on top, but you can also use furnaces or dispensers there, so that doesn't really matter. This one has the same number of comparators, and that, actually, this one does use more comparators because the clock's back here. If you manage to make a clock without the comparators that manages to power all of your dropper vaders, then that's fine too. This is just the design I came up with, and you're feel free to improve upon it. So we've got n plus 4 hoppers, n plus 2 droppers. We've got the same number of redstone lamps, depending upon whatever you feel like. That's that design. This will fit in one chunk, if you let it, that is. So this is 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is 3 by 11. You could make it 3 by 10, because I realized after the fact that this can probably be moved one to the left, and then you just need to switch out how you have this chest design. That's not a big deal. Then this one over here, the pros and cons for this is pros. It is a much more simpler design. It's a lot less involved with the redstone. You don't have to worry about weird hopper, dropper, vader mechanics and stuff. You will always have the correct amount of inventory space no matter how high you go. This one, you might need to start adding more chests at the bottom if you go higher up. And you might also have to move your system higher up to compensate for that as well. Whereas this one, you just keep getting longer and longer. The cons for this system, we are using 2n hoppers, and I know hoppers cost 5 iron and 1 chest each, so in survival Minecraft this might not be the best bet, but it's still not terrible. The other thing is we've got an observer down here, so I know that tends to be just a little bit hard to come by in early game. That's not terrible either. This might be just a for funsies build that you chuck in somewhere. And again, it can be used as a health bar, it can be used as an energy bar, it can be used as a spoon meter, but that's just what I'm calling it. Now, we're going to really quickly take a look at some of the upcoming videos. Now, I've just logged on to my private Infinity Evolved Feed the Beast server, so I just wanted to give a sneak preview of one of the possible things that might show up in an upcoming video. I've got the start of my base sort of here. I know there are a couple of viewers who are actually on this server, so please, no spoilers to the audience in the comment section, but feel free to guess what you think I'm going to do here. This right here is actually a moving elevator platform, and it's this large for aesthetic reasons, but one of the things that I would very much like to go over is how this is going to function, how to build a flying machine in Infinity Evolved, which is in 1.7 Minecraft, so the standard sticky piston flying machine doesn't actually work, because slime blocks don't behave the same way as they do in vanilla later versions. So there's that. Next, I've also got a sorting system kind of going on over here. And I've also got this hooked up to an ender chest, but the big thing that I'm going to go over in a video is down here. Now, you can see that we've got this weird setup here. And you might be wondering to yourself, what the heck does that even mean? But if we take a look down here, we've got 1/4 of a hollowed out sphere. And popping in here, I've got a ring of core data on. And what that allows me to do is more or less see through the water. So you can see that 3 and like an eighth quarters of this hemisphere have been dug out. And what you can see here is a wee mining turtle. And that is the thing that is responsible for this entire thing. So sometime I would very much like to go over how this program works, do a tutorial and sort of, just Infinity Evolved, as well as, just programming methodologies. Just sort of how to think about thinking. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but you'll see what I mean when we get there. But this whole thing, just this whole thing was done indirectly by my hand. And, rather than just going through the pain of hollowing this out by myself, I figured out how to make something automatically do it for me. And that feels like really rewarding, and also just watching this turtle go is just sort of amusing. But that is kind of what I've got in store for you guys later. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the spoon meter, or any other redstone that you saw in this video, please leave it in the comment section. If you have anything else that you would like to see, whether it be Infinity Evolved, or any other video games, I'm also planning on doing like Stellaris, Civilization, games like that. So please feel free to leave suggestions in the comment section as well, and I'll be reading that. If you liked it, please give a like. If you aren't a subscriber and would like to find out more in the future, because I'm not just going to be doing Minecraft, then click that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified, click that bell next to it. But in the meantime, I will catch you all on the flip side. Hello YouTube, my name is... This is why I should never look down. Blooper reel? Yes, blooper reel. Hello YouTube, my name is Agent Omega, and I do things. And, I also despair when my keyboard cuts out. So, we're gonna retry that.